We'll go ahead and get started. I don't know where Randy is. Christy said she might be just a couple minutes late, but we'll go ahead and start without her. So. All right, this meeting was recessed on Wednesday, May 3rd. Is there a motion to return to the meeting? So moved. Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're on item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding follow-up questions related to any fiscal year 17-18 estimate of needs that have already been presented. Normally we go ahead and start with you guys since you're here, but I want to give Christy just a few minutes.
Okay.
So if you just bear with us just for a little bit. Danny had sent out an Excel spreadsheet of what we've been looking at here in our meeting. There she is. You're fine. Okay. Now that Christy's here, we'll go ahead and start with you guys.
You all want to talk about the per diem rate, how many positions I have, or the M&O request, the increase in the M&O. I have
all of the above.
I have them all. So what's your preference to go first?
However you want to present.
Okay. And then we'll just start with per diem rate. This came out of a discussion about what does it cost to run detention, and then it went into the state's responsibility of 85% and so on. So we went back, and I couldn't find anywhere, like I told you, where anyone had actually calculated the per diem rate. So that's what I've done here, and I used the FY 16-17 figures, because I don't have all of them for this year, obviously. We broke those out into detention-only costs. Some of our budget categories are clear, and those are only expended for detention. And then whatever is spent for Bureau total support or expenses in operating, we took 66% of that and said that goes towards detention. And the reason I did that is because they're 66% of our FTE, our payroll.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we pulled out 66% of the cell phone stipend. We did their salary and fringe as if all the positions were filled. So we can, answer about that, but for last year, and then took 66% of the remaining. So 85% of that came to $5.2 million. We gave them credit for what we received as back and transportation, and I gave them 5.2 responsibility in the county 923. Then I show you right under there, using that, we calculated 181.38 per day rate, and 85% of that's 154.17. And I show you for the 15-16 contract, if we use those using all those numbers again, they contracted for 79 beds. And the money that we got for FY 15-16 actually only bought 45 using these figures. And then this year, because they reduced this from 87.66 to 81.52, it actually only paid for 42 beds using these numbers. And if you were interested at all or have some concerns about how I chose to calculate it, I talked to Tulsa County and provided you on the sidebar there how they calculate their per diem. And I used their formula to see the difference, and it changed our per diem rate from 181.38 per day to 255.95 per day, which I don't believe that to be accurate at all. So I stuck with our formula. So that gives you a feel for, I think, and answers your questions. I've given Aaron a copy of the contract. We've had one conversation about it. And if you were interested, probably not, but attached is for a year's time period. It shows you the utilization of contract beds that OJA contracts for in each county. And so you can see, if you look at Oklahoma County, that percentage running along there is the percentage by month of the 79 beds they were using. And I think the average was, I averaged those, 79% was the average for that time period. So,
Well, first, I would like to say I really appreciate the work you put into this. I mean, this is very, very detailed. I like that you looked at Tulsa County. I try to do that whenever possible, because I don't like necessarily recreating the wheel, but I also agree that they're different, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be the same, but we can look, and just because, you know, they may have a $255 expense per day, doesn't necessarily mean that we do.
right.
But I do appreciate you looking into that and providing all of this. But, so my understanding is based upon your calculations here, OJA would be responsible for roughly $5.2 million, and the county is responsible for $923. And then on the estimated needs that you had submitted, you've got OJA Detention Services, says fully executed fiscal year 17 contract amount. I don't necessarily know that we have a fully executed agreement, but...
Not for 17, 18.
Well, I don't even know that we have one for 16, 17.
We haven't.
Okay. But irregardless, on here, the dollar amount is what I'm kind of concerned about, is the 2.3. So it looks like OJA is underfunding us $3 million?
Right.
Is that your...
Or 10 million, whatever it is.
Yeah. Just
Yes, they are, yeah.
Okay.
And Aaron and I had a little discussion about, you know, the state doesn't have, we can only, what's that saying about squeezing something out of a turnip? I mean, they don't have any money either. But, we talked about our contract from them, we should probably get, we'll have it no later than June 1st. And that's when we will know, they'll finish out the session and know for sure where they're at. And then we'll see what they propose in terms of a per diem rate and or a reduced capacity of the beds they're going to contract for. And that would be the time that most likely this year we couldn't get any more funding for them. But rather than just respond that that's the way it is, Aaron and I have been having a short conversation about at a minimum this year we need to send back something else that maybe looks different and is more reflective of what our actual costs are and what the statute says. I don't know that, I mean, the county has to have some funding in order to operate their detention center, so everybody's kind of stuck in one respect. But it does give us, I needed to do this anyway, I just hadn't had time, so I'm glad that the issue came up and I went ahead and got it done. I think that going forward, even if we sign a contract, they typically do a 2-year contract, that maybe with Aaron's help and guidance, we might look at maybe just a year in order to give us time to see how we might go about it. But again, that wouldn't be my decision, that's what we've been talking about.
Well, and Aaron and Danny, both of you guys, please help me here. The way the process works here is, I mean, we budget for them, and then we're reimbursed through that. So, on one hand, this 85-15, that's what we get on the backside. So it's almost like that needs to be handled outside of the budget. I mean, it's not like we're funding 15%, so we would just say, okay, we're going to give them a budget of $923,000 and move on down the line. Because it's a reimbursement, we would, you know, fund the full amount up front with anticipation of getting the other money on the back end. So it seems to me like that might be a separate legal process that we need to go through above and beyond the budgetary process. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not sure I understand your question. I mean, it could be both ways. Yes, there could be a separate legal process attached to this, but of course, this body can consider other revenue sources, in determining need for ad valorem dollars. Now, how this body does that, is really discretionary.
Okay. Well, and then that also gets into the, you know, what other ad valorem dollars you get into, and I've had this conversation before, I don't necessarily know in this meeting, but some of you may have heard it. I think that, you know, if you continue status quo, and I understand the statement about bleeding a turnip, you getting blood from a turnip.
Thank you.
But if somebody else is constantly willing to ante up the extra money, there is no incentive for the turnip to find the blood that might be inside there. Does that make sense? If we keep going, the state has no incentive to come up. I mean, it's really easy to say, we don't have the extra $3 million that we're statutorily supposed to give to the county, and the county, we know they're going to keep providing the services, so really, what incentive is there for them to change anything, you know? But I kind of think it's a chicken or the egg. You got the funding and then the revenue coming in on the backside, so it's a convoluted issue, I believe.
I guess if you do force the issue, I mean, one of the things I've been thinking about is if their per diem rate equals 42 beds, then if we can only contract for 42 beds, wouldn't that require them, now it's back in their seat. Where am I going to put these other kids? I'm out of bed space and I don't have any money. Rather than it being our burden, which I believe that it has been. So, you know, as long as they're not forced, if they can live with that per diem rate and still meet all their mandates, it's because we're allowing them, for whatever reason, I'm not saying, you know, to get 79 beds for 42. So.
What's your total bed count right now?
We have 80 beds. They contract for 79.
So you have 80 and they contract for 79? And 80 is for the entire facility?
Yes.
Okay.
Revenue projections, we built in the rate of 8152 times the 79 beds for the year, so $2,350,000.
Yeah. This right here.
Which, based upon the director's numbers here, that's a difference of $2,879,593. That's a huge burden that is the responsibility of one party that the county has decided to go ahead and carry in full.
Looking at your the way you calculated the 154.17, under the category you said OCJDC daily per diem. I see what you're trying to do, and in other words, I'm asking, we do this quite often. You've already started off at 85% of the OJA responsibility. You then divided that by the 365 days a year, and then divide by just their number of contracted beds to come up with what you said was the OCJDC daily per diem rate, but in actuality, that really should be the OJA rate, and then you took 85% of that to be your OJA. But you used the OJA number initially at 85% already, and then you took 85% of that again. So you applied 85% twice. And so
I think what he's saying is, this here would be these two numbers added up if you're going to take the 85%. If you don't take the 85%, then it should, because this is already factoring in the 15% being taken out.
So you've done it twice essentially, and so
that changes it.
It changes a little bit, but in order to get to where you're going, I think, is you have to look at the $6.1 million you have there after you've backed out the detention center cost, you divide that by the number of days in a year, and divide that by your total number of beds, which would be 80. And then that gets you a daily per bed rate of $211.26 with some rounding. And then,
Multiply that
and then you
by
and
then 85.
well, I would just do that by 85. So they're responsible for 85% of the daily cost. That gets you 179.57, and then you multiply that by the 79 they contract for. To get you the daily. So I guess I come up with, if for 79 beds, it should be around 5.17 million, give or take. But you kind of hurt yourself by doing 85% twice. I just want to make sure that when you're doing your calculations there, we're as accurate as we can be.
So did you say that the rate is 179.57 doing it that way?
The OJA rate applies 85%
Right.
to the daily rate, yeah.
Okay.
Because yours is, essentially, where you apply 85%, you can do it at the beginning or at the end, it doesn't matter.
If you just move this 6.1 to here, you just have, total expense, total detention expense or whatever, and then do the rest of your math with your 85, you're gonna come up with
Okay.
what you came up with.
Thank you.
It's pretty close. What's the difference of the 80 and 79? But it's best to figure out your cost per bed, not just per bed on contract. And it's only one, so it's not a big number.
Right.
But it does make a little bit of a difference.
Well, it adds up. Okay, thank you. Anything else that you want to talk about on the per diem rate today?
Could you continue to operate on this current year's budget levels,
Well,
in the 6.7, almost 6.8?
Well, real quick, if you don't mind, before we get to that, as far as because that kind of goes into the M&O expenses, salaries, benefits,
Right.
all of that, and I think she's getting ready to present that.
Okay.
As far as this per diem, what OJA's responsibility should be, according to the director's numbers. Is there any questions about this document?
Is that something, you said the contract's being worked now?
I'm sorry, what?
You said the contract's being worked on now.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that's appropriate now to bring up with them during contract time? It may not get anywhere, I understand,
Right.
not to spend all money, but I wonder, if it's time to start at least bringing it up and...
I honestly don't know, Christie. I know that in the past,
Trying to think
They-
how to go
they-
forward.
I mean, it's a good concept because in the past it's been reactionary. And so you're suggesting to not take a reactionary position, and I agree with that. The Tulsa County Director and I will both be at OJA for a meeting with their senior staff on another matter on Thursday. And he and I have been talking about feeder rates and how they do their formulas and so on. So I thought I would talk to him about that and about the contract approach, because we're really very similar in terms of, although they get a higher per diem rate, and I don't know why. They're 91?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe it would be good for both of the counties to go together and meet with CPUC and show him how we've calculated our per diem and talk to him prior to them sending the contract. Wouldn't hurt anything.
It may get turned down, but this is where you just start, I think, every time you get a chance to bring it up. Start.
Yeah, and I think Jamie was correct. I mean, ultimately, what you may have to do is just say, okay, for this $2.35 million, you get 42 beds. And then the county, when you develop your estimate of needs, your salary and benefit folks, your FTEs would adjust to a
Right.
42-bed facility, or 43, or how, you've got one extra now, whatever that would be. And, I mean, I think that's kind of really our only,
Let's,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
capacity.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else on that? Okay.
Okay.
Moving
Good work.
on. Thanks again for that.
yeah, definitely.
Well, actually, is there a motion to receive this?
I'll make a motion to receive Jamie's report on the per diem rate for for the juvenile center.
with the one adjustment that
Yes.
Scoot had made about the 15%, okay? Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
You have an extra one to give to Erin? Is
She
there
got
an
one,
extra?
she already
Oh,
got one.
okay,
So
great.
everybody can check.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll talk about FTE. All right, I'm reducing my request, and I'm trying to kind of show you where we were and where I think that we should be, instead of taking the approach of trying to explain what other people put together and requested before me. I've tried that and it didn't work, so I basically scrapped it, other than using the data from the actual budget. And this is my request, and it is left. I'm showing you at the very top, since detention makes up the biggest part of our operation, what we submitted for our EON in 16-17. And it amounted to a total of 78 positions. And this year, we submitted a total of 81.5. Using the master roster methodology, which was implemented just a few months ago, and for those of you who are interested, I'm not going to go into it, but I've provided you how the shift release is calculated and what that methodology does in terms of identifying posts. I calculate, and I've confirmed this with my detention people, we really only need 75 positions to fully fill our master roster and meet our ratios in those two, well, in all of the categories I have listed. So that is a reduction. Where the 81.5 came, I can't tell you. I tried to match it to several different documents. I can't make a match. That's when I said it doesn't really matter. What matters is what it really takes to operate. We currently have 19 detention officer vacancies, 1 probation and 1 intake officer. We're at about 25% vacant on detention officers, and so one of the reasons that I feel as close to fully funded on our salary and wages fringe that we can get is really the only way that we can hope to hire in anticipation of losses. It takes 7 to 9 weeks to have an officer on the floor once we start the process. So it's critical that we have the funding in our payroll to try and manage that and watch it and estimate based on turnover. We ought to go ahead and start this 9-week process now and at least get a couple more in the wings, because based on our turnover rate, which is extremely high, you know, we're falling so far behind so quickly.
What's it cost to train?
Well, 7 to 9 weeks, 3 of that is once they're actually on board in training. So whatever 3 weeks of the 4-week roughly salary is, and benefits and all that. They get that cost, I have it on here somewhere.
Well, I guess.
25 through 20.
Yeah,
Are they trained on site?
yes.
Okay.
How long are they in that GO cadet pay group?
6 months.
And then after 6 months, they go up, I'm assuming, to a different pay group?
They go to Officer 1, which this is based on Officer 1. We have to budget it at that. I don't know, honestly, I don't know if it's budgeted partially, but I think it's a full cadet salary that I'm using here. I was at a little bit of a disadvantage because I'm not a great math whiz, as I'm sure you all have gathered that by now. But Valerie is out on a family emergency, the business manager. My HR person is out. And so I just did the best I could.
Just looking from a budgetary standpoint, if you say we'll use July 1st as a hire date, you're gonna hire 2 DOs July 1. So for the first 6 months, you're at that DO cadet rate, but then you have to budget the next 6 months at the
Mhm.
the level one rate, so to speak. And so
Right.
it looks like the way you've got it is budgeting for 12 months of a DO cadet, when really at month 7, they're gonna go up a pay step. So you may wanna look
Okay.
at that. So I noticed on your estimate needs as well. If Dan, can you go down a page where they're requesting, new positions? So,
Well, 2110
Right.
is the DO1 rate.
right, and so you've got, see how on there you've budgeted for 12 months, you've asked for 12 months of it, so 7 DO cadets at 12 months. Well, if they're just gonna be there at that level for 6 months, 6 months at the DO cadet level, and then 6 months you're gonna be at the DO level, that's a difference of $125 a month for 6 months at a rate of 12 people. So, really by budget, you're shorting yourself $125 and some odd cents per person per month for half the
On
year.
that cadet line.
Right, you gotta make sure if they transition up a step because they graduated and are off probation, their pay increases.
Isn't the 25.5 that's next to those 34 cadets, the step represents an increase of
That's for
6
the
months?
rest, that's for
Or
the
is
rest
that part of this
That's
raise?
just for the rest of this fiscal year.
Okay,
So it was saying that you're gonna need an additional $25,000 this year because their pay's
Yeah.
gonna change. But those other 12 are different than these folks here.
okay.
So that's kind of one of the things that, so whether you budget 6 months and 6 months, or you budget all of it at the higher rate is.
Knowing they won't all start
Right.
by one.
Right, I mean, it's,
I mean, you can do it the way
You do
you got
either,
it,
yeah.
but.
you're just a little bit shorter if you
Yeah,
start
especially if 34 of them are at the lower rate for a whole year.
25-20 is at the DO1 rate rather than the cadet. So she's actually giving herself a cushion for that 15.
What?
The 34 cadets are at 2120?
The 25,320 you said is the full rate?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, but that,
Okay, so that way, the estimate needs that is the 2110.
And you stated that this was in order to meet all your quotas, right? And so that's based on 79 beds, is that correct?
Yes,
But,
80 actually.
okay, and so
320.
if
Full DO1 rate, not the cadet.
we only do 42 based on the formula, would that change your budget?
2110.
Well, yeah, well, it'll be the timing of when we find that out and get it processed with the funding, but I guess at the rate that we turn over right now, it would be pretty easy to make that change within the county.
Well, I'm just saying if the county signs an agreement, if the commission signs an agreement for 42 beds, at 85%, then your estimate of needs is too high.
Right, but I just don't have that answer. I mean,
So
none of
this
us
budget
know
is based on 79 beds.
that.
or 80.
I have to bet it going into it.
Gotcha.
But obviously, as you say, if we reduce capacity to 42, then we have to recalculate the master roster, which it won't automatically cut it in half, because it depends on the post. And then we could present that to whoever, you all, the board, whatever, and that change could be made, I presume. Okay, so that explains, the detention officer series change.
I think up here though, this here, is this just a total of these lines?
Across 39 and 32 and 6, 78.
This is
All of their,
7.
it is?
Yeah.
Okay, all of their,
The total on that
yeah,
fiscal year 16, 17
Yeah.
up here should be 77, not 78.
okay. It doesn't change any of my other stuff, but yes, you're absolutely right.
I was just making sure there wasn't something else that I needed to be. looking
Right,
at.
right. The next table, I think it's really immaterial, but if you wanted to know position by position, what changed from their request last year to the request that was submitted, I've outlined those changes for you. I can't explain all of them. I don't know why we went from 2 to 3 or 3 to 2. I honestly don't. I just know that I've identified what each change was from the 2 budget years and what we actually need, and it's a total of 149. The 9.5 that are on our vacant and or new position list for this year is being reduced to 3. That's what I need. I don't need the 9.5. So, I've provided you, I would really feel more comfortable if Valerie or somebody could check my math and make sure that I did this fringe and salary stuff right. But I think I'm pretty close, if not right, just to show the difference in what we're actually requesting. And to show you that we talked about the 477 or the 487 or whatever it was and how you're going to make up that difference. Remember that? So, there's still a difference. There's still an increase if I stay at the same funding of 463 roughly. So how do you make up the difference? I mean, I think the only thing that I can say is basically what I said before. It's through vacancies, which will be detention officers, and that equals roughly almost 11 officer, 1 position. Just to give you an idea of what that means to us. Another thing that was brought up that we did not request was the overtime money, and that would be, I guess, if there was a decision made to start paying it.
Well, that was my next question. You went through a period this year where you had to pay a bunch of overtime, right?
We didn't have to, but we did.
Well, they're not non-exempt employees, right?
But we don't
They're not
pay.
exempt
I mean, it's, you know, we have
Oh, I
never.
got you.
Yeah, we pay it when they leave. Yeah.
So you didn't pay it this year, or you did?
We did but we didn't have to.
Well, and so if you're funded if you can hire these 3 additional employees that you're asking for, will that cut out overtime? And if it cuts out overtime, does it not more than fund itself? I mean, how much did you spend on overtime last year? You know, does my question make sense?
Yeah, I think the 3, basically, the three FTE are not gonna change my overtime picture. What's gonna change my overtime picture is not having a 25 to 50% vacancy rate in detention, where everybody's working double shifts and not getting days off. That's where all the overtime comes from. So the higher retention rate, the more positions that I keep filled there, the cheaper it is.
Well, knowing you have a high turnover, could you not go at certain periods? Would you not be, I mean, you just need to keep your average at that level, right? I mean, if you go 5 above, 5 below, 5 above 1 month and 5 below the next month, it's still the same number of positions, and you have a high turnover rate. I mean,
yeah, I'd like to be able to
manage
hire
for that.
based on projected turnover. I have not been in a position long enough or had the funding to do so. That's the only thing that makes sense
right.
in terms of you start a new year, and you know what your funding is, whatever it is. And then you make those plans,
Right.
and you project, and you shut down posts or whatever you need to do. But you get a whole year, you say, okay, I'm starting at this point, and this is what I need, and then this is what I have. So now I can budget and figure that out and know my projection.
And that's a conversation to have with whoever manages you. I mean, presiding judge
Mhm.
or
Right.
PCC, I don't know who it is,
Right.
but it's a conversation to have with that person. But budget-wise, I would say you could plan for it, cut out overtime, and give.
I don't think I could cut it out, but I could definitely make a big impact planning ahead, knowing at the beginning of a year, definitely. I'm estimating this overtime estimate, and I didn't really know, you asked what I would need, and it was difficult for me to figure out what to base that on. So what I did was I took what we had accrued in a 10-month time period, which represents anywhere from 20% vacancy rate to 50%. Oh, it was all over the map. So it's a pretty, I think, a fair distribution in terms of that. And our liability is 62.5, that's on the books sitting right now as comp time. So if all those people left, that's what we would have to write checks for. So I just divided that by 10 months, multiplied it by 12, it's 50-something, I think I have those figures. Anyway, I used the amount we had accrued, 10 months worth. Oh, it's down here in red. Good, I'm glad I made myself a note. 52,041. Came up with the monthly average and multiplied that by 12. That doesn't look like that has, yeah, it has taxable retirement, I did that, okay. So I had to use that as a projection to say, if the county implemented, now you gotta pay. If we had to pay what was on the books and what we accrued in a 12-month period, it could be an estimate I have of 142. If we can leave what's on there and just start paying, if that's what the county does, then it's half that. I didn't know what other figures to use to project it.
Something new, do we pay retirement and?
No, they'll pay retirement and overtime, just
We
like,
pay FICA? Okay.
yeah, so it's actually 56,185.
56,185?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't do the,
Retirement does not apply to overtime.
okay. Let's see. 180. And that's not in our funding request, so. Again, that would just have to be managed, looking at the year forward, what,
Well, here's one thing that we need to look at though as a group. It may not be in your funding request, but you've told even Mr. Sullivan when he asked you if you got the 3 new positions, if that's gonna do away with overtime, and you said no. And I'm not disputing that, but if you know that 100%, then you know you're gonna have overtime, so we need to budget for it. And that's something that we need to look at, and that's why we kinda needed that number. Because we don't wanna get into a situation to where, come March or April, you're having to furlough folks or, do whatever because you don't have enough funding available. We need to, that's why we try to, get through as much of this information as possible so we can, help on the front end so we're not scrambling on the back end.
I think if we did start to pay overtime instead of just putting it on the books, that it could contribute to reducing our turnover rate, because they make such little money, that at least there's one incentive there for them while they're still working. That they didn't get to go to their kid's ball game, or they lost their weekend, or whatever it was, but their check's gonna be fatter the next month. It's a guess on my part, but I think it would reduce it some.
Paying overtime is essentially, either you pay them now for the time worked, or you're paying them down the road for the
Right,
time
you're gonna
worked
pay.
all the time.
Right.
At a potentially higher rate.
Right.
Because they're paid higher down the road.
And
And I think currently, the way the current handbook, you could get permission from the Board of County Commissioners, because they would be your elected official that you would have to, go through, correct? You can do that. It's a kind of a policy call, each elected official to each elected official, but if you think that there's no way around it, you're gonna have overtime, then I think that's something that we need to look at in the budgeting process.
Okay.
None of those folks who are getting overtime are exempt, correct?
so it'd be non-exempt employees.
These overtime calculations are just for detention officer law enforcement, he said.
So there's no overtime, no potential comp payout for exempt employees? Okay.
Anything else on this? Okay,
No?
well, let's look at M&I.
sorry. I had something pop in my head.
Real extras of these? The extras of these?
Yes, which one?
Right here. This one. We had extras of the others to give to the gallery.
That's the only one you don't have, that's three.
You have one for Aaron?
Yes, I did.
One of the ideas I want to forget.
Do we need to receive the second report she handed out? We just went over.
We can, or we can receive them both at the, let's do it after we do the next one, because as we go through the next one, there may be more questions as it relates to the first one. So,
Okay, I reduced the, requested increase in the M&O category. I broke down, just for convenience, I showed you the adopted amount, the transfer to capital, adjusted starting point, and so on. Which, that gets us back to the number of the 174 we were talking about. How can you survive by moving 93 out of your M&O to capital, and you're still operating, the doors aren't shut, yet you need that money and another 80-something for 174. So, what I'm showing you here, I went through every single thing, and I tried to categorize it, and I can only come up with $38,342 of the $93,855 of absolute things I know and their costs that we've been unable to do. Then I went through an increased cost, actual increases in cost, with the exception of utilities, which, yes, that is an estimate, and came up with a subtotal. The third category are specific only to the audit that we are having in the fall. Of the $35,000 expenses, and I'm asking for 20 because it makes me really nervous to have a building that size and that age and not have any money if something goes wrong. I've got to have something. I mean, I can't predict all of that. What that all totals to is $139,492, not $174,739.
So your total M&O request is, what is the total?
Whatever it's on.
Right here, the total is what is it, 821,280?
Right, that's what came in with
Right.
the estimate you just gave us.
Okay.
Which if you ignore the 93,855, then it's the 174. If you say that was your choice to move that out of M&O, which it was, to capital, and you still survived. So what did you not get done? So that's why I listed that out. And it was not 93,855 worth of stuff.
So the 38,342, those are items you had budgeted this year?
Those are items that we need, yes, that we have not been able to do, that we need to do. Like Chesapeake's paying our lawn care for the last 3 months. It's not a lot of money, but nobody's driving a county car. We're not buying any office supplies.
but the scrap master, for instance, that wasn't something that was contemplated in your
It wasn't contemplated,
budget that
but
you were given. So this wasn't actually an expense that you thought you were going to have, and then you wound up foregoing that expense.
I would use the scrap master as an example of falling into that 20,000 category.
Right, yeah, and I think that's more
So
of a
if you want,
capital.
then you can take that out, but maybe that is double dipping, or should be in capital, I don't know.
And if that was included in the 20,000 that you had in the capital, then it wouldn't change any of the rest of the numbers other than this one here.
Yeah, you just deduct the 13 from this.
Yeah, so 25,342.
Of course, that only leaves me 7 now if something else goes wrong, because that's a garbage disposal for the kitchen, it has to happen, so.
Well, and that's something that we can discuss as far as a capital request. Capital, you know, what we think should put in the capital side.
How often do you have to replace that?
I have looked at the notes with me on how old it is, but it's very, very, very old. It's somewhere in the stack of stuff that I provided. Do you remember?
We had to replace the actual disposal in it, that has to be replaced we replaced it 5 years ago.
I was just curious, how many
But
exact
the full
depth?
unit is original with the kitchen.
That's right. Which is what, 86?
Yes.
And then on the increased cost, the upgrade to Nova time system maintenance fee, I don't know what we want to do on that, but I know that there's a look between, I think there's a want to amongst many in the county to go to one payroll, is it one payroll system?
Timekeeping.
Or timekeeping system, forgive me, I forget that we already kind of have one. It's just, I have to throw that out there when we talk about it.
Are you looking at Cronin?
Well, I don't know. Well, that is one, and then I think Munis has a, what is it called, ExecuTime or something like that. So, but I do think that there's a desire, and I think, and not only from the county, I think from the auditor as well, that we're on one system. So if it were Kronos or ExecuTime, then the 6,000 wouldn't necessarily need to be in there for that.
But is that gonna happen July 1st?
But this is an upgrade. Is this?
No, we've already got the upgrade. Maybe that's the problem, is me putting upgrade. It was already upgraded. This is our maintenance fee annually. So just take upgrade 2.
So is it an increase to your maintenance fee because of the prior upgrade?
That's it, yes. Yes.
Well, and one thing I would just, and this may not be appropriate in this meeting, and if it's not, please throw your pen at me, but with the knowledge that there is a look at trying to go to one system, you're gonna have to renew your contract on this Nova for next fiscal year. We definitely need to make sure that we look at early termination clauses and whatnot. This is kind of a sidebar, just in case.
Okay.
And I say that here because that early termination could have a monetary effect.
You're watching close, aren't you?
Okay.
Now, remember you had said that there was another amount for you were needing to replace, I think you had said all of the bedding as well. I don't see that on here. Is that, are you still thinking that you're needing to replace?
Well, I had to increase costs. I decided to put it under, let's see, where is my bedding? No, I don't need, this is exactly, where's my bedding on here?
Mhm.
Okay. We reduced it by 5.
Right. But I remember last year, Mr. Seipel had said that you guys needed the 15 because you had to replace all of the bedding for the audit, and then...
I don't know what was said.
Oh, no, I understand that. But if we replaced all of it at 15,000, 100%, and then we're needing another 10,000 this year, you know, I mean, that's 2/3 of replacing all of it. So, I mean, my question is, are we having to replace 2/3 of the bedding every year?
I can't answer that. I know that we have to
I mean, I-
continually replace
and I
it,
do
and we have to have
understand that, yeah.
inventory.
I think that's, if they're only asking for 10,000 for bedding and textiles, that's based on our consumption, I would say it's fairly reasonable. Because we're sitting close to 10 times that probably. Might be a little bit high, but they have different, I mean, you guys are actually working mattresses where we have something that's not a mattress. It's foam.
Mattress-like.
Yes. I would think that's probably fairly reasonable.
Does anybody else have any questions on this one? Not to muddy up the waters, and I know we've already made a decision on this in the past, but what's this group think about entertaining a motion to have the estimate of needs refilled out for juvenile, because these are a lot of changes, and we're used to looking at everything on the other documents, and I think it might be easier for us, to look at this if it were, I mean, this is great information, that I think will lead to, some more questions, but for us to really know, I mean, we need to be able to see exactly what it is that you're needing.
Okay, do you want the scrap master moved to capital?
Danny, in your opinion, is that a capital item or an M&O? To me, it seems capital.
That's capital.
Okay.
And is that something, do you think you're going to have some, because I really want to try to make sure that everything is covered and you guys aren't, left in the lurch, but one of the big things that we were questioning was on the salary side as well as this. I went back and looked at some salary information, and your salary expense through last month has averaged about it has averaged $358,752.36. And I do understand that that's an average and it'll change monthly, right? But you've got 2 months left of salary and benefits with $812,000 left in your budget for salaries. The $358,752 multiplied by 2 months is $717,000. You have $812, which leaves a $94,000 balance in your salary account.
You get 10
You got
days.
Well,
10 days.
right. So I guess what my question is, it looks like there may potentially be some lapse. Can you take care of, like, the scrap master out of this fiscal year dollars? Because I looked at, your salary for February.
Which report is this?
This is just the munis, the payroll
What's the date?
report.
Or you pulled all of it?
Yeah,
Through April?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted.
Yeah. In April, your salary expense was $366,858. In March, it was $368,868. In February that you did here, when you had fewer employees, it was actually a higher salary amount of $377,573. So it looks like your salary, and the reason why I did this, I wanted to make sure that this average wasn't going in the wrong direction.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's actually, it looks like your payroll's kind of trending,
Right.
down a little bit, but also
She's
right
actually
kind of
kind of
short of that. On the 10 days?
Okay, so you're saying, if you mentioned a $94,000 balance, right? What are you saying our average is per month?
I've got an average here, just from the last 2 months, 10 days is gonna be about 122,000.
Yeah, so,
So you're gonna come up about 44,000 short in salary with those 10 days, when you throw those 10 days in there.
with their current fund balance in the cost center, in salaries and benefits, not counting M&O or capital.
Yes, and just those categories.
Right,
benefits will run about $26,000 short, just based on the last 2 months.
Oh, okay, you're looking at
And those 10 days.
the July one, or
So you expect from June twenty-first
through
to June
July
30th.
or June 30th, yeah.
But if you build the budget on a full 12 months,
Right.
Got to.
we're not paying the 10 days twice like before.
No,
So if she built the budget on a full 12 months,
correct.
she's covered.
No,
No, because July last year, she only paid for 20 days.
yeah, Christie, mine, without taking in consideration the 10 days, which I forgot about that, there was a $94,000 balance, but Danny's saying that 10 days is how much?
Yeah, about 122,000.
You're still budgeted 12 months, but you're not paying the first, you're only paying 20 days for the first
You're
month.
splitting it into
Yeah.
different years.
You've got to find a way to get that fixed. It's so hard to budget for.
Well, I don't know how many vacancies we've increased since that April payroll. It's probably been 4 or 5 of the 19 we have, and we're gonna lose some more, so I think I'll still come out break even. There might be a few pennies left.
Well, according to Danny, there's, my question, it looked like there may have been some left over. Danny's saying he doesn't, because I wasn't taking into account the extra 10 days.
Right.
He's showing that you're gonna be negative in salary.
But I won't be with my vacancies, is what I'm saying.
Factor that in with your estimate needs, you're showing that you were gonna come up about 71,000 short in salary and benefits. So you had already, your original estimate needs, you had already factored that in, that you'd have to move money from M&O up to salary.
What are you saying? I see, I'm sorry.
You've already factored that into your estimate needs, that you were gonna have to move money eventually by the end of the year.
Right.
And without the 10 days, I was thinking she may not need to
Right.
move the money and may be able to do that, but
Just do the 10 days.
I do all the time, I always read that 10 days.
Yeah, I think I will have.
We're going to add it.
Has to move for every year.
But the question is, your last 2 months, March and April, your salary is gonna right at 360,000 for March, 366,000 for April. And you just take that and multiply that by 12, you're right at 4.4 million based on your current, salary payout. So, but yet you're asking for almost $1 million, or, I'm sorry, you're asking for $5,120,000 more than the 4.4 million, your current level. So that's, I guess, a lot of the questions, why the big increase when it's more than just salary, salary increases. I think it goes back to the turnover. You can always have turnover, so you're not fully staffed.
well, in this, I wanna go back to the first, or the second document that we looked at, because I had a question, but I wanted to get through this other stuff first. If you look at the salaries and benefits, it says 4.4 million net appropriations for 16-17, but down here, on this sheet, fiscal year 16-17 adopted, you've got a 6.023.
Well, don't you have to add in fringe?
Well, are you,
No, they're adding those two together.
you're adding everything together there, okay? So,
So those two together are 6,023,899, and I subtracted that from the actual need.
okay, I see, yeah, I thought this was just salaries.
Yeah, and so it is an increase, it's really, I don't know how to explain in a way that it makes sense, based on the way they counted the positions and the number of authorized that they said they had last year, and the 22 vacancies, and that was what they needed, based on what we need, and when we turned it in, 9.5 vacancies, and I'm reducing that to 3. I don't really know how to nix that. I'm just telling you that I'm giving you exactly what we need, not what's been submitted last year, not how I was advised and what I submitted this year to try to make it match. So, that gets back to the question, whether it's 463 more, 477 more, it's the same question. If you don't get it, what are you gonna do? And that's the same answer. Well, I won't be able to fill positions. Turnover itself will take care of some of it without me even forcing it. Might take care of all of it.
How many vacant positions do you have right now?
22,
Total, 22?
19 are detention officers. 21, actually, 21. Probation intake officer and 19 detention.
Mr. Chairman, if we don't have any questions, I would make a motion to receive the FTE differences and the M&O increase request for fiscal year 17-18 review. And also, request a new estimate of needs for 17-18 for extended juvenile.
Second that.
Do you want them to use their most updated, salary, for last month, fill out the new salary, or are you just talking about
I just did that, what her request is,
Okay.
yeah.
So does that mean that we use the same starting and then show the adjustment based on what we talked about today?
I would keep all the estimate needs still using that February payroll.
Okay.
But then, everything you
Gotcha.
presented today.
Gotcha.
But a lot of that stuff from the February payroll is going to auto-feed over to the salary side, right?
It would.
So that's what I was thinking.
Even the most recent, like just her most recent pay.
Yeah, or
Submit
We
the
can-
staffing level she believes she needs.
Mhm.
Do it based on need, not necessarily a snapshot in time, which is, we've always agreed is not the best approach. I don't see why, if we're gonna have to bring back an estimate of needs, that what she puts in there for staffing is what's truly the need there.
That's true.
And that will give us the best picture ultimately of what their estimate needs overall would be. I mean, that's what we did for our budget. When you're dealing in a detention type situation, there's a lot of variables that play into it. And so, I mean, in her situation, in our situation, where our turnover rates are so great, that snapshot's not a great view of what the year should be.
I would amend my motion then to have her submit a new estimate of needs based on current figures, or based on need.
you understand what, on this back page, or Danny's got it pulled up,
Okay.
that there where you listed all the individual
Right.
positions and all of that, that was your snapshot on your February payroll. Instead of pulling up a new payroll, whatever, pick a month, instead of doing that, actually list out your need, kind of like what you've done here.
Yeah, and actually, just to make sure that I understand it, look, this page won't change, other than it won't have the raise in it. These 144 stay the same. It's 9.5 going to 3.
If that reflects your need, then that's fine. Then you wouldn't need to change that. Just make sure that the information isn't a 1-month snapshot, that it does actually
Okay.
reflect the need.
Okay.
Because you said on your estimate needs that you hired some in March that are currently full-time in your budget that you had under an additional staffing level. So those numbers are gonna change a little bit, what you had put in your estimate.
That's when it gets really, difficult when you start using last year as the baseline. If you go to what we need, then what we need in just the officer category turns out to be, what, 6.5 less? But that isn't gonna compare to this, and then the vacancies on the next page are gonna look different.
I would put together the best way, in the way that you think best depicts what your true need is.
Okay,
And that may mean changing that sheet there and or the next sheet.
okay. Do you all have a date that you, absolute drop dead, you must have this, so that it gets considered?
By 5?
Last Thursday.
Yeah. Okay, well then I'm dropping dead.
Well, we have to submit a recommendation, or we're shooting for a recommendation to the budget board this month, so.
Okay.
Which is May 18th. Maybe
A week from
May
Thursday.
Yeah, that's when the monthly scheduled budget board is.
Well, I'll have it to you no later than Friday, hopefully sooner. Is that gonna work? I'll shoot for Wednesday. I need my business manager, and hopefully she'll be back tomorrow. Who do I send that to?
Want to send it to Kelly?
Yeah,
Or-
well, Kelly's gone, right?
You sent it to Tiffany.
Okay. Any other questions that I can try and answer?
No, I think this is really good info, and then if you could just get it on that other sheet, it'll make it a little more
Right.
digestible for us, and then we can kind of figure out what's what, so. All right, there's a motion to receive, the 2 documents for the FTE differences, and then the documents on M&O increase request fiscal year 17-18 reduced, as well as to request the director to submit a new estimate of needs reflective of those changes. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your hard work. I really do. That's
It had to happen. I wish
That's
I
not
had
fun
done it
to
in the
do, but-
beginning, but, hey, you learn.
okay. Now let's look at Danny's spreadsheet that he sent out. Has anybody had a chance to take a look at that?
Yes.
What I did, and I don't know what anybody else did, was in that DET items for follow-up discussion, I went into that column and I put stuff in there that was the increases that were asked. And I didn't do it for juvenile, and I didn't do it for the sheriff's office, because those are gonna be bigger things that are gonna require a lot of discussion. But I put everything over, this is like 5 items that I put over into there to kind of see if we pulled all of the increased stuff out, what our total budget looks like.
Mr. Chairman,
But, yeah,
now there's gonna be a change on District 2. There were some calculation problems, and it doesn't reflect, it's not accurate as far as the increase from the 16-17 to the 17-18 budget.
increased requested increase.
Well, Danny, the sheet,
Well, and here's what I did. For instance, let's start at the districts. On District 3,
right?
in the DET, that column,
Okay.
right there,
Right.
that column, I put 85,596,
Mm-hmm.
and that gives a standalone dollar amount. And then I did that on several departments. That way we could figure out where we are budget-wise on standalone, plus some of the stuff that we've already decided to go ahead and put in for sure. And then we could look at the dollar amount that's left over at the bottom to see if we need to make other cuts, or if there's areas that we can come back in and fund some of the items that are in that column, the BET items for follow-up discussion.
Where did you get your 85,000
I-
that you plugged in?
It gets the increase/decrease from fiscal year 16-17 budget, it gets it to zero.
And see that in District 2, it shows that there's gonna be an increase of 47,114. The salaries did not all carry over in that number.
And I just used, because we were on the districts, I just used that as an example. And then on District 2, I put 47,114 in that column, and then that zeroed it. We had already I had recommended moving District 1 to negative $1,000 at the last meeting, and then I just did that on some others. I think that we had items on that other sheet that we were gonna talk about and look at, but we also had it on this sheet as being, most of those things being fully funded. And that's why I think if we pull those from that sheet and put those in the BET items for follow-up discussion, then we know where we're standing as far as our recommended budget now, and then we can move forward.
That you are using, like in District 2, the 47,114, did you use that in your calculations, Cody?
Yes.
Okay, that number will change,
Up or down?
go up.
So what happened, Steve?
Well, the salaries didn't come up. See, originally it was gonna be an increase. Oh, here, let's hand it down, we all talk about it.
Thank you.
See, all I did is just kept it at last year's, or this current year's salaries and wages. Fringe I broke out just so I could explain item number 2, health and dental. We asked for a $122,000 increase in M&O for the parking lots at 6,500 for capital outlay, and that's what caught my eye, because it was showing we had a $42,000 increase. I knew we had more than that just in the parking lot and the capital outlay.
So it's 124,977.
Right. On the very top, you see where about the fourth column from the left, adjustments 1. And then if you look at the note on that, that's the explanation for that. And then if you look at the estimate of needs, it was something I did not catch originally. But in the estimate of needs, it was showing this year we budgeted for dental and life insurance and health, $15,721. This year, we came in with $53,064. It appears from the notes I've looked at when we budgeted last year, I went on the insurance in November, and then we had a vacant position we carried over into 16-17 fiscal year that I don't think we took care of as far as budget-wise. That position hadn't been filled, that if it's filled this year, I'd like to fund it. And then back to the boxed information, the travel went up, is 2,500, that's in the 17-18 budget. Everything's in the 17-18 budget except for the salaries and that adjustment of $18,000.
So if your salary stayed the same, your benefits would need to go up just because some
Right.
changes in
Right.
health coverage.
Right.
Thank you for that interpretation.
Do what?
That was a good one. That summed it up nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, his salaries and benefits are the same levels except for health insurance as they are this year.
And the special projects, 100,000 for school parking lots.
Yes, sir.
You know which ones, or is it just?
I don't have any idea, Captain. There are several on the list, and we'll probably find one if we're funded to get one for the, the biggest thing for the buck.
When was the last time we did a project like that, general fund?
District Two's never done one out of general fund. We haven't done one in years.
Have any other districts done that?
Yeah.
I just don't recall how, but
Yeah.
it's probably before my time.
Yeah. And hopefully next year, like I was saying, the salaries and stuff for highway, because they're funded out of highway and general, I think next year, we're gonna take an entirely different approach. We may change the formula too, where it's a lot more transparent when we're showing numbers. I think that's kind of the thing to pose it up. We pull the report to reflect this. All the staff was being paid out of highway, so that skewed the number for the general. And we can fix that going forward. Where it's a lot easier to read. I have to take my hat off to District 3. Theirs is very easy to read. They did it the right way. They had to manipulate it a little bit, but that's the way I wish I would have done it.
I think the credit goes to Kelly Henley, because she comes in and fixes all the errors that we make.
Yeah.
She's helped us every year, but she does a great job.
And you increased your salaries and benefits, just so I recall, was mainly from moving people from highway cash into the general fund 100%.
Well, yeah, we don't do 100%. In other words, I'm not paid 100% out of general. Ours is, mine's about a 50-50.
Right.
So that's how you're requesting it,
Yeah.
that's what I need.
Yes, yes.
Is
I'm
that-
just gonna reflect what general fund pays for my salary and any other expenses.
So, but this box here, right now, you're showing on your estimate of needs that for 16-17, looking at the estimate of needs, that you
Right.
had $183,362 for salaries.
Right.
On your 17-18 proposed budget, you're asking for $370,833.66, correct?
Let me get this here.
More than double.
Right, there's a 3% raise in there. That's the deal.
Well, that's not the only deal.
Yeah, right.
all in.
Yeah, it's-
Right,
it's
and
not-
that's what Scooter was
Yeah,
getting at. The
right.
difference was having all.
Pay, all pay
of
lumped
one.
in here, yes.
Right.
Right.
So to do if we did a standalone budget for District 2,
Mm-hmm.
we would need to at least add to the standalone the $34,798 for the increased health and dental premiums for one employee that's currently
Right.
there and one that
Yes.
you want funded.
Yeah. Yes, that'd be the only increase on a standalone.
So instead of 15,721, is it gonna be 34,000 plus the 15, or is it gonna be the 34,000?
No, it'd be the 34,000.
Okay. So about 19,000 change, okay.
Right, yeah, no,
Yeah,
they're not,
18,976.
yeah, it's factored
I
in the
got you.
box, yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, and if you want, I can reflect this in estimate needs, because it's actually on the estimate needs that went down on the insurance, the health insurance.
Okay.
And I can do that if you'd like.
Unless there's objection, what I say, what I would like, if you go back to the other sheet, if on the adjustments for District 2, what's that 311?
That's,
Is that the
That
total
was the
difference?
difference between the two, I believe.
Okay, what I think, the medical, at least the amount of increase for the employee that is currently on staff, I think we need to put a positive number in the adjustments column, because we need to fund that.
Did you calculate that for the six? You said you were 6 months into
I don't have it here, but now it's in this year's budget. I was just showing that for the difference between 16-7 and 17-18 budget.
Right.
In this year's budget, we're all there.
Right.
498, is that single, Danny?
Yes.
Okay. Or 489, rather.
So it's 489. Last year, your budget did not have that person
Right.
in there for insurance, so
Right.
$5,868.
Okay.
So what I think on the other page where we had 311,000, I think, well, I don't know. Because we've done things kind of differently on different things. To me, on the adjustments, that's like what we've decided kind of that we're going to either fund or not fund.
Right.
So to me, in that adjustment there, that 311, you'd put the 5868 there to fund that insurance, and then over in the column 1, 2, 3 to the left, the BET items for follow-up, you take the 311,271.26 and subtract the 5868, put that number in there for future discussion of extra money.
5868.
Yeah, come here. Come here, I'll show you on my computer.
I thought you were half and half.
No, they weren't funded last year for insurance for one employee.
But now that started in November,
They
though.
took insurance, and so they'll need a full year's worth of.
The employee is only on general fund for 6 months, right?
Right.
Right, so we can use a percentage.
Right.
You know, whatever we want to put in there, but whatever that insurance amount that we want to fund out of general fund, I think needs to go into the adjustments.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's,
Okay.
I was confused on the 5868. It ought to be half that unless we're gonna transfer that employee over all 100% into general fund.
Okay, then 2934 is half.
Half.
As Eddie Murphy said in his stand-up routine.
That's a single.
It is.
Yeah, because the 2994 is for the increase. And then if you want, you can add a comment to the District 2 and say 100,000 for school projects. The remainder is folks currently paid out of highway cash.
Well, then we've got a increase in capital for 4,000 for furniture if we move the courthouse. Then we went up $1,000, $1,500 from travel, and that'll be it.
Okay.
You guys have any more questions on that one? Okay. I have to leave, gotta go to another meeting, guys.
Do we need to receive his updates?
Yeah, you can.
I move we receive his updates, if we need to move to receive his updates.
I second that motion.
If we do
that.
receive his updates.
There's a motion and a second to receive the update from District 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
You want me to take your proxy, Steve, while you're gone?
But do you see where, kind of the process that I was looking at? So now when we come back,
What happens when you go to the bottom now?
it's gonna change the overall. Yeah.
Is there anything else like that on there, Cody, that?
Yeah, there's, MIS,
Do you want to start from the top and do what
yeah,
you're doing?
yeah, we can.
As long as we go through this as a group, so we can have some quick comments on as we're going down it too, if there are any.
I'll just put stuff in there, that'd be good.
Chairman, do what you want.
I'm just kidding. Yes, we can start at the top.
Or she wants the 74.
Previously paid from rebound.
Yeah.
The note said.
Yeah, that, I put 74,773 in that column, and comment was positions previously paid from revow.
Do you have your down that you could send him, or don't have to input it on?
Well, Scooter wants to go through this, everybody can have input, so.
Everyone look at me with hateful eyes, come on.
You're the only one in here with a gun.
And if someone comes in the door, I'll protect all of you.
How many rounds you got?
More than 19. Just think, you guys always have protection in here.
That's right. I feel safe.
Are we messing with that budget?
Yeah, we're not gonna do anything with reval, right?
I didn't put anything on mine for revow.
That's 5,000, that can't be for much. Yeah, I mean, that's.
Yeah, I
believe that.
didn't put anything on there. I left that blank on mine.
Well, do we need to put the 129,721 over in BTI for follow-up? 'Cause that's essentially what
Right.
the assessor was. I mean, it was for previously paid from other funds.
Yeah. Because I just think while we're still discussing stuff, it goes in that one, and then when we make a
I
decision,
agree.
we can make
I
the,
did. We were having some, one way and some another.
yeah.
knowledge, Cody, there was a split between,
You have temporary employees from other stuff.
Well, I've got a question. I didn't put anything on yours because my question was
some of that was,
the 10 employees,
Right.
the rest of the year.
Right.
So I want to find out what that dollar amount is. I saw that over there, but I didn't know if that 118, is that the total? Okay, so I think that needs to go in the adjustments column
To fund it.
to fund it.
Yeah.
The budget board already decided to add those employees.
okay,
And then
the other,
the other stuff will go,
some, yeah, I mean, it was a little here, a little there, so, yeah. Is that right? Yeah.
so it's, what does that leave us, 390,000?
Yep. Yeah, I move we move on, I got $510,000 more.
Yeah, Dan, Google it.
Yeah.
Yes.
County clerk,
Oh.
you're at 388,
Oh.
so we still need to work on this one.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah. Yeah, the
Make that a
VET
motion, Mike.
items for follow-up should be that full, that 390.
388,
Well, he's got a
oh,
dollar.
1,431. Saw it on the details, but it's in
Mhm.
the miles, right?
Do what? The
I was trying to-
1431, was
wait.
that in the M and O?
never know.
Yeah. I think if there were some transponders in there, there was some Nicky Nacky things.
I think the rest was the true up, right?
Getting you back to the average salaries, county, that, I think that was part of it, correct? Your PowerPoint presentation.
Yes.
But it doesn't add it.
Just come prepared to have the conversation.
That's why we're gonna have.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But it was. The difference in the request I thought was bigger than that.
Your PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, later. I slept and drank since then.
And then in the
And
middle.
ran.
Run that marathon.
Yeah, I ran, that's right. I ran since then.
Because you drank, so it balances out, right? How do you do in that marathon, by the way?
I did what I was supposed to.
Finish?
He's alive.
I was pacing a pace group.
Oh, okay.
Are we finishing this today?
Sure.
The pay equity was the 337,792.
Right. But then there was 5 new employees and there was some part-timers. It just doesn't add up in my head to 380. It adds up in my head to more like 3/4.
I kinda took it that way.
337 and the $150. New position. Or vacant position.
So those aren't in the three, they're still there to be talked about, they're just not in that 338 figure. Gotcha. So the 338 figure needs to be more like a 210 figure, 220 figure, and take the 118 and move it over.
Mm,
I think the whole 388
154 to 248. And added back the annualization, 118.
Oh, yeah, what is that, 388, 831?
Yep.
And then what was the positions, 118?
118.
118, 195.
195. Okay, so that BET items for follow-up discussion, the total there should be 270, 636. Because that'll leave the increase at the 118.
What was the total?
270, 636.
Close.
You took off the 1,400.
Yeah, you said it's one.
There we go.
Close. No.
Another $20.
After my own heart.
You were close on that.
And if you go back to the formula to try to figure out where that number came from,
We're so screwed.
where did these numbers come from?
It's $11.
That was the Daniel Weinberg interpretation.
All right.
And so that's gonna be the pay equity and 5 new positions.
No,
We've already
Or
done
no,
the
no, we
five.
did.
that's gonna be the
Yeah,
pay.
The pay equity.
Maybe.
Put question marks after it.
Pay equity. And do you wanna, let's go into a comment on the 118, 195, so we know what that is. That's the
Those positions.
full fiscal year, 10 employees. How do you want to word it? Okay. Next is county clerk. Here's what I put in there. All that stuff that was on the sheet, you had 249, 438 for Tyler, right? 134,000 for the Electra Digital, 107, 390 for the agenda software, and then the benefits came up to 287, 152, 18. What I did there was I took the salary and benefits from the 3 individuals that were in the general fund budget as benefits. Employees didn't consider anything for a 4th employee, because I figured you guys had already discussed needing, you know, if there's 4 that leave, you're gonna need 1 anyway, so I didn't do anything on a 4th. And then on the medical, I didn't know how many of those were medical. I looked at your average, it looked like you had 2 to 1, more family than single, so I used that same formula, 2 to 1.
Unknowable.
And that came up to the 287, 152, 18 for salaries and benefits. So the total of all of those is 777, 980. But I don't know, on that 231 that was in the adjustments, what is that?
The priesthood pay and some other
Okay, so then that'll have to be added into that 777.
This amount here.
Okay. So take that whatever amount that was, the 231, and add it to the 777, 980, and that'll be all of the software systems, the benefit employees, and the previously paid out of another account.
Are we discussing the benefit employees now? I mean, are we gonna put them elsewhere on the sheet?
Well, they're gonna have to go somewhere else. Yes, potentially, but I think we need to notate it here as well, because all of this is gonna be discussion stuff.
Sorry, give your number again, 777.
It was the 777,980 plus that 231,126. And if you want to do comments, that was 249,438 for Tyler. 134,000 Electra Digital, 107,390 for the agenda software, $287,152.18 for benefits. And then the 231, whatever that number was, for previously paid. Okay.
Anything else we don't have in public defender? And that's just the final, this is amount you have new now.
Yeah. Okay, purchasing had the, I don't know if you guys want to put anything in there or not. That was the increase that they asked for was for cell phone stipend and for computers.
1,500 was computers and the remainder was cell phone stipend, right?
Yeah. If anybody wants to put anything in there, I didn't put anything on mine, but, because I'm fine with funding it, but.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, without objection. Move on.
Nothing on GSCC, we get that MIS.
MIS, oh, were you,
Oh, no, I'm sorry, yeah, well, sorry.
yeah, MIS, I put 18,588. was the number I put on there. And I'll tell you how I came up with that. He had the $18,000 for the Microsoft 365 that he said he didn't want to do anymore. Well, he wants to wait, so he wanted to take that out. So that was $18,000 out. He still hasn't said anything on the $13,000 for the Civic Plus about talking to the board or anything like that. So I took that out for discussion. But that $18,000 I added back, and we may not want to add it back. We may want to go ahead and put it in the adjustments column. But the Aegis increase, the $12,411.84 that he needed his budget to go up by because of the increased Aegis contract amount. So I did a minus, and a plus, and all three of those came up to the $18,588. So we can either put it all there like that, or we can change that $18,588 to be $31,000 and then put the Aegis contract over in the adjustments.
Yeah. Put the Aegis under the adjustments.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
31,000.
Yeah, 31,000 there. And then adjustments will be 12,411.84.
I got 12,161.26, but I'm looking at the spreadsheet.
Oh, okay, I looked at the information that he,
He gave,
I
okay.
think he gave us the actual
yeah.
number.
Danny, can you make a comment on that 12,000 and put Aegis increase? And then on the 31,000, did you already make comments? Just go ahead and do that. And that was 18,000 for the Microsoft 365 and 13,000 for Civic Plus.
Sure, I have to take a 5-minute
Yes.
recess.
Yeah, actually, was there anybody that had to get done at 3 today? Was there somebody I was thinking? Okay, without a,
Well, go ahead, we can answer process questions when we come back.
I was gonna say, do we wanna just, it's 2:50, everybody be back here at 3? 10 minutes, have everybody time?
And then hopefully wrap up.
Yeah, yes. All right, is there a motion to recess until 3 o'clock?
So moved.
10 minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Yeah, I saw you joined Strava. Since I'm on there, we're friends on Facebook, I got an update.
I haven't used it yet. I use Runkeeper and I like it.
I don't play with Strava much, other than I'll go in and I use it for tracking my gear.
I just wanna see what it did. I'm not gonna use it. Yeah, it was rough.
I did the McNally trip Saturday.
Yeah,
It was supposed to be a 4-miler, it turned out to be 3.75.
there was an officer down on 5K in Ashland that's another county. We wouldn't run that. It was a little warm.
Back at 3, Christie.
Cool.
Thank goodness. Break.
Gotta leave today by 4.
Well, I think we just said we're gonna try to break at 4.
I'm already broken.
Long before 4 o'clock.
They broke me about 5 minutes into the meeting.
good yourself?
Good, how are you?
Good. Did you go camping over the weekend? What'd you do?
We went to Red Rock again. That's one of my favorite places.
Is it? How come?
It's just beautiful.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
it's down in a canyon. It's just really pretty. Quiet.
Never been.
Oh.
How far is that?
It's in Hinton, about an hour. The other side of, Delano.
Okay. Nice.
It's real pretty.
Does it have a golf course?
I would know.
That's the important question.
That's cool. It's a beautiful weekend.
Well,
Weather was perfect this weekend,
it was.
and I didn't get to play a single round of golf.
Neither.
Quite upsetting come Sunday night.
Good hiking trails there.
Yeah, the canyon you can climb up, and we were supposed to go on 15 minutes because they have the old wagon wheel ruts from the California gold, anyway. Like, I know what I'm talking about. It was started out as a 15-minute hike that turned into 3 hours because we got lost.
Oh, I saw your post. Did you find your way home before dark?
I did. And Olivia gave her dad the what for the whole I mean, she's just up here chewing. I don't even have to say a word.
Yeah.
We got it covered.
Where's that?
At Red Rock Canyon in Hinton. I mean, it was fun. I didn't mind it. Like I said, when you prepare for 15 minutes and you're 3 hours later.
Yeah.
And then nothing like rock trails.
Well, no, and they have a map.
How'd you get
My husband
right?
was using, but it wasn't well marked. And like the grass was growing up, so you really couldn't find the path. We ran into Cub Scouts there, and they're all like, you have to get down from here? No, but send help if you should.
I picked that up today. That's the new 935.
Oh, I know that, too. That too.
We tried it, but he was like,
Get the notifications, like the text messages and emails, you're looking at your watch and you're fucking just going, are you almost out of time? And you're actually reading a text message, which is probably even worse than looking at the time.
And we have to relax.
Yeah.
But this one we just ended up doing kind of an extra.
All right, it is 3:05. The motion return to open session.
so moved.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Right. We, just finished up with MIS, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the 64 for facilities?
Window cleaning, seasonal planting.
I don't think they're planting cash crops. That's another revenue stream.
You know, Chesapeake is doing juveniles. Well, I'm just thinking, they've got a landscaper down here now for Project 180. It's a full-time person that they've hired, and I only knew that because I had a buddy. I mean, they want to do seasonal planting, let Project 180 do the seasonal. Oh, I'm not a plant bug.
I do think it would be nice to see out windows, so.
Looks like it's raining all the time.
Don't look at me like that, Don. I could read your mind. Your mind was at least the rain staying out there, not coming in here.
You're right, that actually was kind of my thought process.
I was thinking if my employees can't see out the window, maybe they wouldn't be upset about being so underpaid.
That's gonna do it, Mike, that's gonna do it.
I'd just be fine with rainwater not coming in my office on a rainstorm basis. And that'd be okay with me.
I know.
I'd rather my windows be dirty and keep the water out and clean, let water in.
That's only 15.
We're just gonna put
Those two items.
a kayak in your budget.
Some days I feel like I need one. And a gas mask.
No. Survival of the fittest.
Immune system's building up, resistance to a whole bunch of things.
For now, I would think we would move those over, and then if we want, as we go back through, if we want to talk about them again.
Yeah, let's get everything.
And that was, what, 50,000? 35 for windows and 15 for botany.
And then what's the 14?
Yeah, it was like this.
14 MIS. 79 for this position. Previously paid from TBA, I think.
We've moved all those over, right?
Yeah.
All the previously paid.
Hey, listen, he controls my air conditioning in my office, so if you guys wanna add something on that list, you're more than welcome, but I'm not gonna add it on the list. That boy wants to be cool, not hot.
I'll bring you a cup of ice.
Put a ceiling fan on the other side, and you got 4 doors. Not ceiling fan, wood, sorry. Nobody beat me.
Hey, we have ceiling fans, they're called red wasps, that come to the.
It had something to do with the Langston campus, the Lexington campus, and an employee that used to be over there, but was spending more time down here now, and they were gonna need to spend more, I don't know about second cup of coffee this afternoon, my brain's beginning to work again.
I can see the synapses firing.
Maybe with the third cup, to know what it was.
Danny, there was $1,300 increase for cell phones on their M&O. About $1,300, so that might be part of it.
It's a classic theme. The bit of Six Flags guy.
It's your Halloween outfit this year.
That other increase,
What page is there?
92 or 91, 92. We're just trying to figure out.
There's a $1,300 increase for cell phone.
Yeah, we got that.
You get that?
It looks like it's gonna be in salaries and benefits somewhere. It's over there.
They've got safety awards here, they don't have it in this budget. I don't know if that's part of it or not.
Because on your detail, it's showing our 13,000 in salary and benefits. Just give me a couple of them out of it.
Do your magic like you did with that other one.
What I do.
You start playing with figures until it got to zero.
So the 130, that's the window washing and the planting, position previously paid, and cell phone. And then
Self-funded the last year or two.
Last year they were, I think we did.
Six up there in the class.
We'll just zero it out and then we can come back to it later.
Yeah.
Your guess is as good as mine. Oh, no.
All right, so what was it, 35 for,
Window washing 35, 15.
15 for planting.
Planting. Seasonal planting.
$1,300 per stipend.
or what?
cell phone second.
$250 for safety.
There was a large amount for a position previously paid from other funds.
Can you go to the planning commission, Danny, once you're done?
Yep. This one?
Yeah. I'm thinking there, Mr. Chairman.
Well, the 250 is for the master plan, just to discuss it. Everything else is having it as being funded from your special funds next year.
Which is what they did last year, and what they're indicating based on their revenue is they'll have more than enough to cover the year. And then some.
I have, there's a budget request in there for 596.
Yeah, that's what,
He does that,
that's what
he
he
turns that
requested.
in, yeah.
Right.
It is, it's taken off.
It's zeroed out.
I was here on this.
Yeah.
Go from the-
See where the 596 is in parentheses, the
Yeah.
two column, or the column next to it, and then the one before it are both zero.
Okay.
Master plans 250.
Thank you. So much more.
We would all would trade these spots.
Each level-headed. It's fun.
That's gonna be the two,
Yeah, it was for the ninth floor and then, jury room. Do we have a completion date on those yet? 2019?
74.
2030?
Infrastructure and bidding and,
so.
And they, we're talking such a small amount, they come back and ask for that once it gets completed.
mean, on the jury, on jury assembly, I don't know why there would be an increase.
Correct. I mean, you've got one room you're cleaning now, and you're gonna do away with that and clean another one. There might be once the DA space is built out.
Well, but they were cleaning the District 2 offices and planning and engineering and all of that was down there.
Yeah, it would be
where
easier to
the jury
clean one big
assembly
room.
is now, so, I mean, I don't see why there
The
would be.
same number of square feet.
Sounds like you should negotiate that contract.
That's the mustache's job.
Stephen Adams.
No, the mustache.
Dash, bro.
That would be fun.
Keith is the original mustache.
Services is fine.
So we Simon the P, so Simon and Simon. Joe McGraney.
It's all throughout the day.
We called it Sputnik for a long time. There's a wrestler from the 50s and 60s from Sputnik movie.
And that's what we went over at length last week, wasn't it? On ours. We spent almost the entire time looking at us. I do recall.
I don't remember.
Iterative sport.
I still think we need to move some of it over, given what we're doing.
Well, we had talked about the inmate medical, inmate food, and the cap, changing those, right? So those numbers should go into the adjustments column. And then, I don't think there's been a decision on anything else, right?
What were those three?
Pricing.
Right.
It was $250 for the cap, I know that.
Yeah. Medical stuff the same. And we're in the middle of those talks with them right now.
Need to read them off to you, David?
Yeah, please.
The inmate medical, $215,078.37. Cap is $250,000. And food is another $50,000. Inmate medical cap and food.
Yeah, okay, and you got backed it out of the other. You just increased everything for, when we came with that number last week, and those increases,
Which included those increases?
which included the food, I mean,
Go back to
where we
the
spent almost an hour and a half on that last week,
I think that was out doing personnel stuff.
the 2.2 or whatever it was, that was inclusive of the medical and food increase.
So it was over in the 2.2, so it needs to be taken out of the 2.2.
No, but it should increase, well, you should end up, we spent an hour and a half on it last time, going through all of these and figuring out every little column.
Yeah, but I don't think anything was,
No, I know that, but by adding in the adjustment, you shouldn't have created an increase though.
no, but if you put the 515,078 in the adjustments, if everybody is thinking that we need to fund those, that goes in the adjustments column. The change from the 16-17 budget, that dollar amount
Then needs to be.
goes over into the BET items for follow-up discussion.
But it's the 217 minus the 5, whatever, correct?
Right.
Or the
Yeah.
2.17.
Yeah, you take that other
Because we're.
that number
funding
minus the 515.
Oh, yeah.
So the 2717996 minus 515,078.
I think I've got something already.
All right.
No, it doesn't go there. Over, 2,202,888. I think that's the total though.
I got 918, 2202918.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the comment on that can just be lots of stuff.
What is the plural of lots?
Now this one here, I don't know. I mean, I guess we can just,
Yeah, because I know, still having a hard time following her.
Maybe a clean, brand new one, all of these.
Hopefully get us back to understanding.
Yeah, you know-
Were we ever able to?
well, but I think with the supplemental information we got today, it's gonna help out
I think
a
it's
lot.
Yeah, I do too.
I think there's
I
a
think-
confusion.
I think it was a good exercise for her too.
Yes.
Okay, what are we on?
Emergency management. 52,500.
You gonna put all that in the adjustments column?
It seems like when we had the follow-up conversation, this said 13.5, it might have been, well, I know you're wrong, but it seems like there was a lot of, agreement on that. But we put it all there and talk about it next time through, fine. Just put the 52.5 over there and we'll talk about those specifics the next go around.
Starting to get lazy there, Danny.
Yeah, but
Just wanna get through it, and they all in one place.
Next is Highway 1, or District 1.
they're down 1,000,
Yeah, well, they,
yeah, so that's.
Hurricane changes last week.
On
We
the,
just did this.
hang on OSU extension, Steve said just to put that number in there as a placeholder. Do we want that there on adjustments, or do we want that? In the follow-up section?
I think, I like it in the adjustments just because I think there's gonna be a contract with OSU for
Sure.
some amount of money.
And so at least there's something
Right.
held there.
Okay.
Agree.
I'm fine with that.
The 2934 was benefits, so that needs to stay on District 2.
much better place. I mean, just to go forward.
Right.
Everything's kind of treated the same.
Nope.
The 35 minutes until 4, do we want to email this back out and get back together, or do we, rather than try to get halfway through it today, and that way, if you can email out the sheet, everybody can kind of look at it, and, because I was not prepared today. Others may not have been, or may not be prepared. Are we gonna recess or, say something about a special on Wednesday, anyway?
No, it's
Also,
She sent an email out asking if we were available.
that was for today.
Oh.
That was purely by accident. I'm not doing that again.
What's you guys' schedule like?
I'm here all week. I've got,
How much time do we need to look at this? Because we could call a special meeting for, well, we could do it as early as, yeah, Thursday. Seems to me there's,
Policy and procedures.
yeah, is that in the morning? Yeah, I mean, I could do Thursday at 1. Well, but do we need to, if we just recess this meeting, it doesn't have to be 48 hours. I mean, we could recess it. And I'm not saying that you guys have enough time, but if you, I mean, we're all getting together for a regularly scheduled Tuesday meeting tomorrow. If you guys would have enough time to look at it, we could, which won't take long, so we could just do 9:30 in the morning, since we're already meeting at 9.
yeah,
Or at 10:30, because we meet, yeah, at 10. So, if that gives people time. I'd say we do that, and if you didn't have quite enough time, we're not wasting any time, because we can just recess again until another time. All right, so is there a motion to recess this special meeting until tomorrow, May the 9th, at 10:30 a.m.?
So moved.
Motion a second, all in favor? Aye.